everyone, we are back with our third couple this week, and we are highlighting Frederick Seward and his wife Anna Seward. And we are coming to you from the dining room because it is symbolic of their time spent with William Seward down in Washington, D.C. And we are really highlighting Fred and Anna as a political power couple. Their relationship is different from the others because they were rarely apart. Unlike Francis and William, they lived together and they worked together. Frederick as Seward's undersecretary and Anna as his official hostess. And they both chose to focus on careers and not have a family. Anna liked socializing while Fred directly helped his father. Fred was known really as a carbon copy of his father. Fred follows in his footsteps to Union College to study law and then goes on to work for his father. And it is our understanding that Fred and Anna actually met in Albany, and he courted her there for about a year before their marriage in 1854. His biography mentions a young woman, but does not mention Anna by name. It says, quote, "At an evening party, I met a young lady just entering society, whose home was near the well-remembered scenes of Cain's Walk. Talk of youth, remembrances, and congenial tastes soon led to a mutual regard, and a year later, this resulted in our marriage, a union which has proved the chief element of my life's happiness." And by late 1850, Fred and Anna were called down to Washington. And Seward writes his son, because Mrs. Seward does not want to take on this role as a politician's wife, she certainly does not want to be the hostess. So Seward writes, saying, quote, "I need someone to act as and for Mrs. Seward, who is too feeble to visit and to preside. It is a business as difficult as laborious and as continuous as my own and nearly as responsible. Whoever does it cannot change session by session, much less week by week. It is to be known and understood in society who she is. Anna is the only one of the family who can do it. I want her to come, stay, and do it." So that really emphasizes how tough and how committed the role of hostess would have been. Anna would have been responsible for the logistics of Seward's dinner party. She made sure the drink and conversation were flowing. So she was really pivotal. She also accepted social callers to Seward's home. So she is the face of Seward's politics. And Fred and Anna were quite involved in this high society of Washington. And so we do have a collections object pertaining to Anna right here in the dining room. We have this very large painting of Anna. She's actually holding a beautiful fan, and it's the same fan we have on display right below the painting. This was a gift from the Japanese delegation who attended one of her dinner parties and were so impressed by her hosting skills that they sent her this as a gift. So this really emphasizes how important it was to be a good hostess and of course be reflective of Seward and his politics. She always needed to present herself in the correct way so Seward could solely focus on the politics at hand and not worry about the logistics. This painting was done by artist Emanuel Loitza. He's most well known for painting Washington crossing the Delaware, which is currently in the Met. He was a friend of the family, and this was given to Anna by Seward as a token of his appreciation for her hard work as hostess. But again, Anna loved this. She was really phenomenal at socializing and ensuring that the guests were getting along. And so while Anna's busy around the dining room table here, Fred is busy in Seward's office, helping him as his personal assistant. And so when his father was appointed Secretary of State, Fred was made assistant. In 1861, Fred writes home to Mrs. Seward saying that his father was, quote, overwhelmed with letters and visitors imploring him to save the Union in each of their 100 different ways, and is the only person who appears to be entirely patient with each, unconverted by any, and confident, cheerful, and hopeful about the rest. So this really describes how Seward was so involved in Lincoln's cabinet, and Fred was pivotal as his assistant to ensure that Seward was staying on track. And we have Fred represented here in another painting by Emanuel Leutze. Fred is all the way over on the right, next to Massachusetts Senator Charles Sumner. And this painting is entitled The Signing of the Alaska Treaty. So we know Seward is responsible for negotiating the purchase of Alaska, and Fred, of course, as his assistant, was also present that night, March 30th, 1867, for this deal done in the dark. Once Seward retires in 1869, Fred, of course, would sort of retire with him, though he does go on to serve another term as Assistant Secretary of State in the Hayes administration. But Fred and Anna take some well-deserved time off with Seward, and they actually travel with him on the first leg of his retirement trip in June 1869. They go to California, Alaska, Mexico, and Cuba. Fred and Anna would actually make a return trip to Alaska in 1902, and we have some objects in our collection personally brought back from them. But then they would return back with Seward on his circumnavigation of the globe, which we're highlighting this year as the anniversary, and they would go with him to China and Japan, where Seward would continue on, and Fred and Anna would return back to Auburn. They retire to a home called Montrose on the Hudson River. Fred passes away in 1915 and Anna in 1919. Will Jr. goes to Montrose to bring back this painting of Anna that we saw today, and it has resided in the Seward home on South Street ever since. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week for our final couple, Will Jr. and Janet.